Okay, so now that we're done with picks 1 through 20 and Jared is back for this segment, so we're going to go on to picks 21 through 31 for the first round draft analysis. So
I'm back. How did Charles do?
No.
No.
So
We'll let them determine how he did. It's not up to us.
He did fine.
I mean, he's no Jared, but he might be alright.
He tried.
So, coming out of the gate with pick number 21, we had the Texans trading with the Redskins in a pretty big trade because of the teams behind them. It was the Texans got the 21st overall pick and the Redskins got the 22nd pick and a 2017 6th-round pick, which is, that's not a lot for a first-round draft pick and, just to move up one spot. That's not a lot. So the Texans got the better end of the deal. They picked Will Fuller, who I think you said was a second-round talent, but he was the second wide receiver off the board.
No. I didn't say he was a second wide receiver talent. I just didn't think he should have been taken over Josh Doctson or Laquan Treadwell, for that matter. I don't think he should have been taken over any of them. I see why he could be a schematic fit because of his speed to try to change things up with a big DeAndre Hopkins. But his catching is a little bit of an issue, so it's going to be interesting to see how that really all works out for him. For them, rather. What about you?
I think it was a good pick, and AJ said it was a good deal trading up one pick for a 6th round. I don't disagree with that. I mean, if they're going for their guy, they like this guy, obviously. If they're willing to trade up for him, they didn't want anyone else to take him. So obviously they see something. I don't know if it's with the speed, just taking the top off of defense in general, with DeAndre Hopkins on the other side. I don't know, but I feel like they definitely wanted this guy, and they did a good job of getting him, I guess.
Yeah, so now going on to pick number 22, it's the Redskins. They picked wide receiver Josh Doctson, which I think they got the better end of the deal because they got a 6th-round... Well, let me put it this way. The Texans got a good deal to move up to get their guy, but the Redskins also got a good deal because they got a 6th-round pick, and they got a better guy to complement Deshaun Jackson. They got a big-bodied wide receiver, and Josh Doctson, I don't know his height and weight, but it's probably really big.
He's good. He's a big jump ball guy, which, I mean, as a Giants fan, isn't very exciting. But I think that it was actually very lucky for the Redskins, similar to the Buccaneers and the Giants, where the Giants picked a cornerback, but the Buccaneers still got their guy, and the Redskins traded down, and the Texans picked a wide receiver, but the Redskins still got the guy. So it was risky playing that card with them with the way that it turned out, but luckily it worked out for both teams. So I think that Josh Doctson overall is going to be a great pick for them, especially to help Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, I think it helps Kirk Cousins, but it also might help Pierre Garçon moving him to the slot. He's not the biggest guy, but now if you think about it, they actually have a good receiving core. They have Deshaun Jackson, Josh Doctson now. They have Pierre Garçon, Jamison Crowder,
and
Jordan Reed.
Yeah, they have so many tight ends. They got Vernon Davis also. They picked him up, so they got a lot of good receivers.
They have a lot of good weapons to help Kirk Cousins.
They just had a defense, and they got Josh Norman too. So moving on to the Vikings. The Vikings, I think, got the best wide receiver in this draft. I don't care what anyone says about the other teams, picking the 3 wide receivers ahead of them. He was the best wide receiver in this draft. If you just look at his college tape, it's insane. He's just he's an explosive type player. He's a playmaker type player. He can. If you need a touchdown at the right moment, he'll get it for you. If you need a big yardage catch, he'll give it to you. He's just one of those type of players, like a Calvin Johnson in that kind of sense. Now I'm comparing.
He reminds me of a DeAndre Hopkins. Is really who he reminds me of, and I think that if he is anything like what people predict he will be, I think that it's going to be absolutely huge for the Vikings to finally get a number 1 wide receiver.
He pairs up with Stephon Diggs, which is huge. And they also drafted in the 6th round that German wide receiver.
Oh yeah, 6'4", something. I don't remember his name.
I don't know if he's gonna be if his skills will translate to the NFL from the German football league, but their receiving core is actually starting to look nice, and that's one of the only things they really needed. Not even on that offense, but in that team in general. They have a good defense, good offense. We'll see how it plays out this year for them. Yeah,
they invested heavy in free agency for their offensive line, so be careful of the Vikings if they could get their things going with their rookies.
A scout said that the German football league was like Division III college football, so we'll see how that translates to the NFL. I didn't even know there was a German football league. Honestly, I had no idea. So I think the Bengals were screaming at this point because he had 3 wide receivers taken ahead of them when that was their biggest need. Yeah. But they still got a really good player.
I think this was a huge.
That was a great pick.
like what's it called when they draft the best player available. That was a huge pick for them, and still a position of need.
Yeah, that's what
Absolutely.
I was gonna say. Yeah,
I love that.
They definitely need cornerback. They have
Adam Pac-Man Jones. They lost Leon Paul.
Yeah, exactly. They lost a couple guys, but they still have Adam Jones. This guy could play the 2 for a little bit. Like,
and they
number
lost
2
Reggie Nelson too.
Yeah, their secondary took a big hit, along with their wide receivers. So I said that they either had to go wide receiver or secondary, and they got the best player available, which did happen to be in the secondary. So I feel like that helps them a lot.
But do you think that if one of those 3 wide receivers was in front, was there for them, would they have taken one of them?
I mean, it depends on who. To be completely honest, maybe if it was Will Fuller, they wouldn't. But I feel like if it was Josh Doxson or Laquan Treadwell, you have to pull the trigger there.
Absolutely.
Even if Corey Coleman didn't go very early, which nobody projected, to the Browns, like maybe they'd even take him because he's a slot guy. He's not exactly number one.
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely.
So I think the Steelers were also screaming at this point because CB was their big position of need, and they were probably like jumping for joy when William Jackson was still there. But then they kind of they kind of panicked. I don't know about panicked. But
I don't know if they panicked. I feel like they reached a little.
They reached a little. Artie Burns. Like I didn't really hear about him until like a week before the draft. He's from Miami. He's like I don't think he's that big, but I had to check his height and weight. But he's like a playmaker, and he's like a boomer bust type of guy. And I don't know if I think he'll be good on the defense, but it'll probably be like a year or 2 before it happens. I think that they should have gotten like Mackenzie Alexander instead.
Yeah, I still think they did reach for this guy, but it's definitely a position of need. They definitely needed someone like this, and you never know. Nobody expected him to go this early, but obviously, again, just like the Texans, they saw something they liked. If they pull the trigger, I mean, you got to trust them. They're professionals.
Absolutely. I just looked up his stats. He's 6 feet tall, 193 pounds.
Yeah, so he's not the biggest, but that's not bad for a corner.
Yeah, no, not at all. And they compare him to David Amerson, who I believe is on the Raiders, something with an R.
Not a good comparison.
I guess not the best one, but
not terrible.
Not terrible. They also said 1st or 2nd round talent, so definitely. I mean, he was gonna get picked.
Speaking of David Amerson, he was actually really good last year. He was really underrated. So if he could even be anywhere close to the production of Amerson, that's actually going to be huge for the Steelers, I feel like.
Yeah, so I think that this was a reach trade. I don't think I've ever said that before, a reach trade, because I think that he might have fallen to them, and they also gave up a lot to get this guy. The Broncos traded with the Seahawks. The Seahawks had the 26 pick, so the Broncos got that, and then the Broncos gave up the 31st pick and a 3rd round pick, which is a premium pick for a guy that's probably not going to start this year, and he shouldn't start this year because he's just not ready. So Paxton Lynch out of Memphis, a guy who became like the hottest topic of the draft after the two trades in like the first couple positions. So like, what do you think about this guy? I'm not too high on him.
I absolutely love this pick for the Broncos. They got a quarterback who can come in and play. I don't know how good he'll be, of course, but he can come in and play. And then the offense that they have and the defense that they have, they don't need him to come in and be a superstar. They need him to come in and be a game manager. I like similar to like a Connor Cook type player, and I love that Paxton Lynch is going to be developmental. And I think with the right coaching, with John Elway and etc., I think that he can definitely become a superstar.
He could definitely be the best quarterback in this draft eventually. I'm not saying that for this year, but this guy's got a lot of talent. I saw him playing in Memphis, and I mean, I just loved him. He's huge. He's got a big arm. Everything you want out of a quarterback, really. And this could be huge for them.
I think that he'll be good in 1 or 2 years, but I don't think he's ready right now. Moving on to the Packers, and this was kind of a head scratcher. I never really heard of this guy. Kenny Clark, D-tackle out of UCLA. I think this was a really big reach. What do you guys think about him?
I definitely think it was a reach. If you were going to go with defensive tackle and pass up on Robert Neekum DJ,
and Vernon Butler and
there was A'Shawn Robinson hadn't left the board. There was definitely a few defensive tackles that I most certainly would have took over Kenny Clark. I mean, hey, they obviously know more than us.
Yeah.
But
if they're gonna pick this guy over the other guys, like
if I was in my shoes, if it was in my shoes and I had my decision to make, it wouldn't have been Kenny Clark.
I mean, they had an abysmal pass rush, so I think what this is not really a run stuffing DT, but really more of a pass rushing, and I feel like that helps him a lot.
I don't know. I think I could have picked Cam Dichi there too, but I think the reason why they didn't pick him is because of his character issue, and I don't think that the Packers are that type of team to do that. So now moving on to the the pick number 28, and that's the 49ers pick. Well, they traded up for the pick. The Chiefs had the pick. Sorry, I don't know what I'm saying. The Chiefs had the pick, and I think that the 49ers did really bad here. So the 49ers got the 28th pick and a 7th round pick this year, and then the Chiefs got a 2nd round pick, a 4th round pick, and a 6th round pick. So the 49ers gave up a lot to move up to this position, and they get a guard out of Stanford, Joshua Garnett, who was a good player, but he was supposed to go in the 2nd round by all mock drafts. Some people had him as the 2nd rated guard over behind Cody Whitehair. So I just think this was a huge reach. I didn't like the pick, and I didn't like the trade.
Listen, I like the trade with players that were still on the board available. I'm okay with it, but picking Joshua Garnett, it's going to be a hit or miss. You're either going to get a great guard, or you're going to waste a 2nd, 4th, and 6th round pick and your 2nd first round pick in this draft.
Yeah.
Reason saying that is they lost Alex Boone in free agency, so this was their replacement. However, I don't know if this is the guy, especially this early, because I feel like if they just stay where they were in the second, they had an early 2nd round pick. You should have just
got
got
the
him
7th
then.
pick.
Yeah, and just
round.
kept your stuff. But I don't know. I guess they had their reasons.
Especially since Cody Whitehair went into like the late 2nd or 3rd round.
I'm just gonna make this quick. I love this trade, and the reason being is that this guy was the best guard in the draft. I definitely think so. I agree with guys that say that, and I don't think that he was gonna be there by the next time the Niners were up, which was just a couple picks later, mind you. And they also filled the position in need. I just like it all around. I don't know what I could say else, but I mean, nobody else really agrees with me on this, but I just think it was great.
Alright, so moving on to the Cardinals, they take the character issue guy, Robert Nkemdiche, would have been like a top 10 pick if all the stuff didn't happen to him.
I don't think there's much to be said. I think we all love this pick.
I love this pick. I think that he's a great,
absolutely going to be huge for them.
Great pass rusher. Like he's an all-around great type of player. He's going to go on that defensive line and make it a ton better.
Yeah.
So moving on to the Panthers, and again, this was another head scratcher, another D tackle reach in the 1st round. Vernon Butler. Who,
I think this guy was actually good.
He was good, but he moved up draft boards like a week before the draft. He's from Louisiana Tech. I don't really know much about him, and I think that the Panthers probably could use a cornerback like Mackenzie Alexander with this pick, to be honest with you. What do you guys think
Yeah,
about it?
I see why they went defensive tackle because they're losing Star Lotulelei and what's the other guy's name?
Oh, the good guy.
Short.
Yeah.
Kawan Short. They're losing. They're most likely going to lose one of them in free agency due to the amount of money that both of them are going to make. Yeah, so I understand why they went with this, but with the loss of Josh Norman and having nobody behind him, I think you should have went Mackenzie Alexander.
Yeah, definitely.
So moving on to the final pick, and the Seahawks. I like this pick because it was an offensive lineman, and I think that if you give him a year or two, not two, but like a year, he can become a really good a really good player. I'm trying to think of the word. Developmental player on the offensive line. It could turn out to be great. Jermaine Ifedi, who again rose off draft boards, and he's from Texas A&M. He could play either guard or tackle. He's a very versatile player.
That's what I love about him, and that's what the Seahawks need because their line's a little weak. So I think that having the ability to be able to put him in at tackle or put him in at guard, whatever suits them best, is going to be huge for them, making their line just a little bit better.
Yeah, I love this pick. This is actually the first round pick that they had in 4 years. Well, not that they had, obviously, but that they've made in 4 years. They always trade out of the 1st round, and now they trade down, like you saw, from the 26th down to the 31st, and they actually make their pick, and it's a guy, Germany Fetty, to replace Russell Okung, who they lost in free agency, so that could be huge for them.
J.R. Sweezy, who they also lost in free agency.
Yeah, definitely.
So that was it for the 1st round. A couple of key names went to the 2nd round, like Miles Jack, Jalen Smith, and others.
Mm-hmm.
So that's basically it for the 1st round. Now we're going to move on to Draft Emotions, a brand new segment that Nick created. So we'll move on to that.